Welcome in, everybody. It is Victory Monday number 3. I am Will Goodwin with Jordan Hawthorne on Load the Box Vikings. It feels good to have already the third week, the third Monday of the season with a win attached to it. Last season at this point, the Vikings were 1-3. They flipped the script and they're now 3-1 after a stressful, nail-biting, thrilling victory over the Saints across the pond in London, 28-25. Jordan, how you doing this evening?
I am as good as you can be after back-to-back nail-biting, just frustrating almost wins. But I it was funny cuz we kind of texted yesterday and it was very I was still being negative Nancy and you were like, "Hey," and what stood out to me was, "Hey man, it's the NFL. Like you're not this it's not like Georgia coming back to beat Mizzou. We're beating NFL teams here. So I think as the show goes on and we start giving takes and we start throwing some stuff out there and making good content, I think I'll elaborate more. But I'm happier today than I think I was yesterday at 12:30 when that game ended.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, the way I like to approach, especially being a Vikings fan and trying to dive into these things, is trying to take the it's a win approach, and then after that, go back and look at the things that could have been done differently, that could have been better. And I think that's what this team's doing. I mean, you see Kevin O'Connell in the locker room after the game. He's not ripping on people. He's not ripping on Johnny Ment for dropping a pass that would have been an automatic first down and probably could have resulted in a touchdown. He's not ripping on Kirk Cousins for throwing an interception or throwing behind Justin Jefferson in the end zone. Um, he's exuberant and he's excited because his team found a way to win again. And so I think that's the approach that I try and take with this, and then go back and see what could have been different. And you know, you make me laugh because with your negative Nancy comment, because Chris Boyd yesterday, I don't know if you saw him
I yeah.
on Twitter, kind of just take a friendly shot at Vikings fans for being so negative and pissy
By the
after
way, I do want I do
after a
want to
win.
I do want to step in really quickly and say, Bashad Boyland, that is how you like tweet that you are unhappy with fans online or you are unhappy with things. You don't make any X-rated comments about certain sensitive body parts and people's mouths. That's not what you
Exactly.
do. You do just say like, man, like just be happy that we got to win. Like, and I think I've kind of taken that approach too. But we have a lot to talk about, obviously,
Do it.
and I think we're kind of changing up the format instead of both of us going back and forth. I think similar to the game balls predictions, and this was your idea, and I love it. You're going to tackle the offense this week, and you're going to talk about the offensive performance over in London against the Saints. And then I'm going to tackle the defense, and I'm going to talk about the defensive performance. And obviously, if we have a comment or we have a burning hot take in the back of our brains that we want to spit out, we will do that. But I think we start with the offense, if that is okay with you.
Yeah.
Lead with the really good, I think, and I think that is the really good part of this team. So, Will Goodwin, the offensive breakdown tonight on A Day Late and a Dollar show. What did you see yesterday that you loved? What did you see that you hated, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with that first drive just to kind of be chronological a little bit. It was a very well orchestrated drive, and right, it's the cliche in the NFL is, well, the first drive is scripted, so you'd hope that the team would score, yada yada yada. And that's true. I mean, when you have a good offensive coach who we think O'Connell is, and we have good offensive skill players and a pretty good quarterback, you'd hope to have success on those opening drives. So we shouldn't be shocked that they scored, first time down the field. But I think the thing that I liked about that first drive is Jefferson was all over the formations. He was involved early, literally the first snap. He just took a quick, it wasn't even a screen. It was just he took a step back. Cousins flipped it over to Jefferson and he ran for 10 yards. Basically an extended run play. And then kind of from that point forward, he was involved in various different situations. He was in motion a lot more than he was against Detroit, especially against Philadelphia. He was very active. We got him involved early. And then also just the creativity in play calling. I think I tweeted that O'Connell understood the assignment with that first drive. He got Jefferson the ball, got him active, made the defense get on their heels a little bit, and then you could throw in some creativity. And honestly, both of the touchdowns on that first drive, and I say both because one of them was called back, were creative play designs. And especially the screen pass on 3rd and goal from the 15. That's not something you would expect as a defense in that situation. A screen to your backup running back out of the wide receiver position. But hey, I mean, it was a well drawn up offensive sequence, and really good to see, because I think, something that we'll get to later is I'm this team is still not clicking yet, and there was some moments in that first drive where I was really excited and really I was a lot more encouraged, I guess I would say. Again, though, then there was some lulls, right? Lulls throughout the game where we struggled to get the ball in the end zone. Obviously, 5 field goals is not what you want when you get in the red zone that many times. I think the thing that maybe concerns me more than anything, though, after this game is the offensive line is still hasn't proven that they still haven't proven themselves, I guess. Dalvin Cook, Madison didn't have much places to go in the run game. It's a good Saints defense, a good Saints front seven, so you have to respect that and add that caveat. But pass protection was bad. There were many times where Cousins was, had the ball a second later, somebody was in his lap. So there's some things that need to be shored up on the offensive line. I saw just some mental mistakes too, pre-snap penalties. I think Brian O'Neill had 2 false starts, which you don't see that very often. So there's some things in the offensive line that just kind of concern me, and just kind of point to the fact that this team is not fully there yet. And being 3-1 is a great place to be when you're not there yet. So I think overall I'm like relatively encouraged, but also this is far from a finished product. Maybe one other thing kind of in this whole work in progress sort of mode is Cousins. Something that I liked is he took some more shots, and not just like deep shots. He's always been a good deep ball thrower. But he took some more maybe risks, and granted, one of them turned into an interception. But he doesn't seem so hesitant to let it go, and that's something that before the season, one of my sort of hot takes on Kirk Cousins was he would have as many interceptions as the Vikings had wins, and basically meaning he's going to take more shots down the field, he's going to try and fit more tight windows, he's going to be more aggressive. And he was not beautiful yesterday. He didn't have a fantastic game, but he had moments where he was letting it rip, and he didn't seem to be scared of the moment either. I mean, that game-winning throw basically to Justin Jefferson up the left sideline, it takes guts to throw that. So there's because I mean, if that ball falls incomplete, you're looking at, I don't remember if it was a second down throw or a first down throw, but you're then looking at, clock stopped, you're behind the chains, Saints could get the ball back and you could lose. You're not being conservative, you take a deep shot. So right. That's something that I liked. I think it's something that I think Kirk is probably going to keep doing, and I think he'll get better at it as the season goes on. And I mean, hey, he's got 4 interceptions through 4 games, which is more than Kirk Cousins ever has. But it's kind of on par with my prediction preseason. So all in all, I think I'm moving in the direction of mostly positive, but right. There's a lot to work on still.
Yeah, I'm flipping it over to the deep. Well, keeping it on the offensive side of the ball for just one quick second. I do have to say that that the take of Cousins will have as many interceptions as the Vikings have wins. That is just that is a chef's kiss take. That. It sounds so good, and it's pretty accurate. If Cousins doesn't play a little bit of biscuit football, in this scheme, then the scheme isn't going to function. But I am going to disagree with you on one major point. I see with the point about the risk in the Justin Jefferson late game, the kind of go out. I also, in my head, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, the Saints are idiots. They just left him out there all alone. Like,
true.
What are they doing?
True.
And so I think that, and Jefferson and Cousins, I think both made comments post game about, we said all week if they left me alone like that, we were going to take one. So it seemed like the best time. We need to get down there and get points. So they left him alone out there on Marshawn Lattimore. Good on the Saints, I guess, for having faith in their defense. But Justin
One just
Jefferson,
quick thing on that, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can finish your thought if you're going to say something else.
No. Justin Jefferson is. I think I was going to say like he's that guy or something along those lines. Like it's really not. It's not that deep.
Yeah. No, and I mean, Jefferson in his post game presser yesterday was his usual, cheerful self, gritty, giddy self, and I think somebody asked him like, "Were you surprised?" And he complimented Lattimore because he basically said like, "No, I wasn't surprised." I mean, I don't know what words he said exactly.
He said, "I remember exactly what he said." He said, "That's Lattimore." Like that. Yeah. That was what he said. Was that? And that's like the highest compliment in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, so he wasn't surprised because he knows the caliber of player that was defending him. I will say though, he toasted that player yesterday. It was, Lattimore had a couple nice plays, but for the most part, it was a one-sided affair.
I think the total stats were 10 targets, 7 catches, and 97 yards, if I'm remembering that, just in the Jefferson and Lattimore matchup. Obviously, sometimes he wasn't always there, but he did toast him. That's
the couple times when he wasn't on him, it was like open season for Kirk, because I think there was that deep over route that he ran where either Lattimore got bumped off the coverage when he ran into his own teammate, or somebody else was defending Jefferson, and it was just like a wide open 35-yard gain because Kirk saw that Lattimore wasn't there. But the last thing I was going to say is that the one piece on that Cousins throw to Jefferson at the end of the game is that the classic Kirk Cousins negators. I'm not going to throw you into this bucket right now.
No, it's okay.
You can tell me what you think. Is that they will say that's a throw that Kirk doesn't make. Kirk's too scared to make the big throw, and he made the big throw. And that's 2 straight weeks he's made the big throw. So he's played uneven games. He's played imperfect games the last 2 weeks, but he's made the big throw in back-to-back games. So that's where I think there's the encouragement of like, it's not a sure thing. So anyhow,
yeah, I want to respond to the Coke thing. We're gonna get to the defense, I promise. But let's all be honest with ourselves here. The defense is not good right now, and so there's not a ton to talk about with the defense. I can't really talk about people flying. I think the biggest defensive news is unfortunately Lewis Seen. So I'm trying to put off talking about that as long as possible. But the Cousins thing, I think that my take is like, I just wish he would make that throw earlier in the game rather than when Cousins does that regularly, like where he needs to make a throw and then he makes the most ungodly, ridiculous throw I've ever. I think of like Green Bay when he dropped it into double coverage perfectly into Thielen's hands. Yeah. Like it seems like every time the Vikings are in an adverse situation at the end or towards the end of a game, Cousins he's like, okay, well, I guess it's time to show him what I do. And then he just chucks one up and good things happen. I just wish he was like chucking it up to let good things happen in like the second quarter. It's like he plays not to lose until he has to play to win. And so if we could just play to win from go, I think we would be better off. But a win's a win. Cousins did it. And I said that about 85 times when we were texting yesterday. Yeah. I was like, nah, like all credit to him. But flipping it over to the defensive side of the ball, another scenario of, hey, defense, are we gonna do something? I will say it looked like we played a little bit, Mo, Plus, man, we won't just sitting in a cover two shell the entire game. Looked like we let Cam Dansler and Patrick Peterson get up on the line a little bit. We bought pressure a couple of times, and a couple of times it even worked, and it was like, wow, this is crazy. And I'm not trying to be such a smart aleck, and I'm really like, I'm not trying to just crap all over the defense. The defense is bad right now. Daniil Hunter, where is he? I need to get a missing person sign back there for him. Zadarius Smith did get a sack yesterday, but I think my prediction that I made after week 1, it wasn't really a prediction. It was more a question of, will he play like week 1 every week, or is that going to be so-so? It's so-so. No human can play that excited and fired up every week for 17 games in a season. So, but he still is looking a little productive. The run defense is walk on through. Just get your 5, and then we'll tackle you. We'll have the safeties come up and make a play. Yeah. There's a lot, man. I mean, there's just a lot. We have to start fixing some stuff. I've seen a lot of people saying like, yeah, the Vikings defense looks bad and statistically is bad, but I think that they are trying to just play they want to, if you're going to beat them, they're going to make you beat them underneath, and they're going to see what quarterbacks can be patient and take the underneath over and over and over again, and what teams and quarterbacks and even offensive coordinators to an extent can't be patient, and they have to, okay, well, now it's time to take the deep shot, and then that's when we capitalize. I think that is a fine way to play defense, but you have to stop the run. Just point blank. If you're going to play that way, you can't then get gashed for 8 yards every first down, and it's just really frustrating to see. Another frustrating thing, why is it that every time we get a team in they penalize themselves, or we get a big play on first down, they're behind the sticks, though it's first and 20, second and 15, whatever it is, they immediately, it feels like they get within 2 yards of the first down and they set themselves up for an easy conversion because, again, we can't stop the run. It's incredibly frustrating right now on this defense, or for this defense, as a fan of this defense. We did have 2 sacks yesterday, including a first fumble, a strip sack, I believe by Dalvin Tomlinson was the one who knocked it out. But other than that, no interceptions. Did the Vikings have 2 first fumbles? One of them was on special teams. Yep. One of them was Chris Boyd. He first it and picked it up. Also on special teams, because I'm done with the defense. I'll pass it off to you if you want to give a quick take. But I am shouting out special teams. Good on Will Goodwin. He has brought, I think I said before the show, you have fought for special teams rights on this show, and you pounded the table. You said Greg Joseph is hitting the field goals on Sunday. He's walking it off. He's doing it. I don't even know his name. I keep calling him. I can't even remember the last guy's name anymore.
Call him Dan Bailey.
Thank you. I was like, I can't even remember the last kicker's name because Greg Joseph is just bound into my head. So Greg Joseph did come out, just, absolutely went nuts, missed a PAT because we can't have a nice day. We have to have a little adversity at that position. But what I do love, and I'm going to talk about this more later when we play this fill-in-the-blank game that we're going to be playing tonight, Kevin O'Connell went up to him after he missed the PAT and said, well, you're going to get a chance to kick again, and you're going to nail it, and it's going to be very important for this game. And I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell legitimately had the foresight to say, oh, well, he's going to kick the game-winning field goal, and then we're going to get a double doink to win. I don't think he thought that. I think he just wanted to go over there and be like, hey, kicko, it's fine. You're okay. You're really good at your job. Everybody has those days. That kind of a thing. And I really like that because I feel like Mike Zimmer in that situation probably would have just socked him in the mouth and been like, why can't you do your job? I hate everybody. And he would have been a grumpy old man. So I'll pass it off to you, and then we'll get into this fill-in-the-blank game.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll say, apart from patting myself on the back for speaking Greg Joseph's day into existence, is the defense. The couple things on the defense. The cornerbacks had some nice plays. There was the play at the end of the game where they allow Chris Olave to get 30 yards down the field. I don't really know how you let that happen, but that's not just a cornerback problem. That's an everybody problem. I remember making notes of it during the game multiple times. Dantzler had a really nice pass breakup on that final drive on Chris Olave and the Reds. Like it would have been like a first and goal if he caught it. Uh, Patrick Peterson had a pass breakup or two. So there was some nice plays in the outside by those guys. I even Shandon Sullivan made a nice pass breakup as well. So I think those guys they played all right. Andy Dalton had a pretty good game. You know he was able to move the sticks a lot and
Yeah.
keep the team moving. Once the second half came, but I thought the cornerbacks played all right. Um, the front seven concerns me, or the front whatever, the front of the defense. The thing that I think that is maybe positive about this, and I'll take this into my sort of my fill in the blank. I think it's flashing on the ticker right now. For me, the way I'm looking at the Vikings, the 3-1 Vikings, I'm just looking at them as an uneven team at this point. And I think looking at the front of the defense is kind of how I see them too. Like they got a lot of talent. Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, Hunter, Smith, Kendricks. Um, Say what you want about Jordan Hicks, but he's been a very productive player his whole career. So, um, the front of our defense is very talented, and I think at a certain point they're going to have to click. I also think Ed Donatel is a good defensive coach, and I think at a certain point it's going to have to click. Either that or we've been mistaken on the skills of our players or this coaching staff because I think their reputations precede themselves a little bit. Now, granted, the Vikings defense is getting a little older, especially in the front, but I still think they got something left in the tank.
Yeah.
But there's still just a little bit of unevenness. The first half they play really well, apart from one drive. I think the Saints had three and outs, a fumble, and a touchdown. Like that was their whole first half. And so that first half, the Vikings defense was really good, but the second half they were Swiss cheese. And so I don't think that's just, Andy Dalton wising up and just remembering how to play quarterback. I think there's a level of just inconsistency with this defense that exists, and part of it's probably, getting familiar with the players, getting familiar with the play calling from Donatel's side of things. So I think so. Why I'm describing this team as a whole as uneven is kind of for that specifically. I was thinking about, should I go maybe a little more positive and, use a word that's maybe a little more positive, like, oh, they're a work in progress or they're getting there or whatever. Um, but I think at this point we need to just be honest with the fact that, 3-1 is a great place to be for a team that is not buttoned up yet. The offense has not been consistent. They've gotten it done enough most of the season, but they haven't been as efficient as we would have liked to see. They haven't been as explosive as we'd like to see. They've had flashes, um, but it's definitely not there quite yet. The positive and kind of the maybe the hope that I'm not. It's not even necessarily hope that I'm clinging to. It's more just perspective. Is that this is again 4 games into a new coaching staff, new general manager. Everything is sort of new here. A few new players. And so there's going to be getting used to each other, getting used to how things work. And I think the biggest positive that I'm taking from that is sort of just the exterior of the whole operation. If you were just a random person, like maybe a casual football fan, you turn on the Vikings games, you watch it, you don't read any of the content after, you don't listen to the interviews after, you don't see what the coaches are saying. You might just think, oh, same old Vikings, but they make the kick instead of miss it this year or whatever. Um, but I think the ethos that I like about this team is that Kevin O'Connell kind of carries this persona and it passes on to his team. You can see it in the way that they're interviewing. You can see it in the way that they're carrying themselves. Um, After they lost to Philadelphia, something Adam Thielen said that was really interesting was he appreciated how this team is set up to be a team that can handle failure and success. And that's not something you say after you get your just crap kicked out of you. There's this perspective that this team carries of togetherness, cohesion, in this together, whatever you want to say, that is coming from the top, that is coming from the coach and the general manager, that is just permeating through the whole organization and the players especially. So you can see it in their faces, their joy, their excitement, their enthusiasm. Part of that comes from winning 3 out of the first 4 games, but part of that is also just perspective of the team. So it's uneven. It's definitely not there yet, but there's a lot to latch on to that is maybe pointing to even maybe better things to come
Yeah.
over the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. So I went ahead. My take is going to sound very similar to yours, although my saying is different, and I did change it from whatever I text you mine was going to be because I wanted to condense it a little bit. So I said the 3-1 Vikings are so 2021 because they really are the same exact team that we watched go. What did they go last year? 8 and
8 and
9.
9.
Yeah, like they are the same exact team with a couple of crucial differences in, I think personally, coaching, which plays into the player's mindset. Let me evaluate a little bit here. So last year, it felt like we were always the team that we scored with 2 minutes to go, and then we gave up the heartbreaking game-winning drive. And we were always the team that missed the late kick on a double doink. And we were this team it was like we were finding new ways to lose every single week. And so we change everything up. Ownership's unhappy. They clean house, new GM, new head coach. They come in, they kind of get rid of some old Rick Spielman favorites that were kind of the depth pieces. They bring in new guys. Jalen Ruego's a Viking, which is crazy. Ross Blacklock, blah, blah, blah. They bring in all these new guys, and they come out, they make a statement against Green Bay, and everybody's probably the worst thing that happened this season is us beating Green Bay the way we did, because I honestly think that now every fan thinks that we should be beating teams like the Chiefs beat the Buccaneers. We should have 3 possession leads in every game, and we should beat the new Vikings now. This is what we are. It's not going to happen. We get humbled by the Eagles, and then we respond with 2 back-to-back just tough games against teams that, do I expect to see them in the playoffs? I don't. Do I expect to see them picking number 1 overall? I also don't. I think they are feisty teams. There's this new media tome going around of they're like a testing ground of teams where it's like, are you good enough to beat the Lions? Okay. Next step up on that list is like, are you good enough to beat, whatever team that's probably going to be a wild card loss playoff team? Maybe like Arizona or something. And I think that the Vikings, they handled adversity in those games so well in a manner that I don't know if the Mike Zimmer Vikings would. I don't know that the Mike Zimmer Vikings respond from being down 2 possessions twice against Detroit when Detroit very clearly wanted and needed to win that game. Like, they didn't need it, you know what I mean? Like, they felt they needed it in their souls. Mm-hmm. They were like, we're going to go get our first road victory in however long. And then we go to London, and we're playing Andy Dalton, and they come back, and our defense starts playing bad, and we can't capitalize in the red zone. And Cousins comes out, and when we need the play to be made, Cousins makes the play. And when we need the kick to be made, Greg Joseph makes the kick. And that's just kind of it. And so we're sitting here at 3-1. So I had to condense it to 2021. 3-1 Vikings are so 2021. But they are just a better coach team, I think. And I hate to say, I think they are just a better coach team. They have a more positive mindset. And I am not one. You guys, if you listen to the show, I'm not a Mr. Positivity, go team type of guy. I am negative. I think that having a positive mindset when you're playing football means a lot. I think your coach telling you when you're down by 1 million, this game isn't over. We have Justin Jefferson, and I think O'Connell has these guys wrapped around his finger. I think O'Connell has these guys ready to run through brick walls for him. And that's what makes the Vikings really dangerous. So we'll do this again, probably around the bye week, and we'll talk about where we're at. Hopefully the record is still just 1 loss, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot of games to come ahead. I think that's going to end it for me. Oh, I will give Oh shoot, who do I have on game balls this week, Will?
Hey, we're not doing game balls yet. That'll be Wednesday for the Bears.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so don't worry about that.
See, I'm all confused. All right, well, Shop Unified Athletic Whale. Follow the show on Twitter and all of the socials. Subscribe, like, all that bullcrap. Follow him on Twitter at Will Bad Lose. Still the absolute best Twitter handle in the entire universe. The show's Twitter is at LTB Vikings. Head on over to VikingsTerritory.com. PTSD.com for daily Vikings takes, articles, just elite content overall. And then tune in on Wednesday night where we will be back breaking down the Chicago Bears game that I will be at, and I am so excited. That will be all for me until Wednesday. Will, I'll pass it back to you. Oh wait, I'm supposed to finish this off. Oh no. Okay, finish this off, Will, because I've already sent it over to you. It's time. Give your final thoughts. I suck at this.
We'll do some edits after the fact. It's okay, guys.
Right.
Yeah, Jordan, just very quick thing. You're talking about, this team is well coached. I think, it remains to be seen, if O'Connell's a better coach than Zimmer was, over the long haul, right? But the thing that, as a former athlete, that I can point to is how a team performs in crisis is a reflection of their head coach. And that is without a doubt true. And so if you have a coach that believes in you and that is rooting for you as well as pushing you and encouraging you, you're going to perform better in those crucial moments. It also just relates to basic human psychology. If you feel secure and you feel supported, you're going to live more freely and you're going to live more detached from worries and fears and insecurities. And so I think that's something that just on a basic human level is just true and real with this Vikings team that is very exciting. So again, I'm Will Goodwin, VikingsTerritory.com. Check me out. I'm going to be writing something later tonight. Hopefully have it posted tomorrow morning. Talking about the Saints game, talking about some different aspects of it. So check it out there. For Jordan Hawthorne, I'm Will Goodwin. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Skol as always.